because before the 911, let me explain this to you. Porsche wanted to call this car the 901, and they did. They called it the 901, but a company had a problem with that. That company was Peugeot. If you know the Peugeot, I've reviewed a lot of Peugeots. I've reviewed the 106. There's the 504. There's
505.
505. There's a number with a 0 and a number, and so they did not like Porsche coming along and having a 901. So what happened was there was a lawsuit, and only about 50 901s were built. But then, wait for it, this one is a prototype. So this is even before the 901. And this used to be the oldest known Porsche 901, basically 911,
right,
known in the whole collector community and everywhere else, until Alois Roof, yes, that guy who does roof automobiles, who now has the right to build his own cars that look exactly like 911s. Think even before Singer, he was really the first guy to come along. He had the Yellow Bird, which you can see a clone of at the, I believe it's the Gooding and Company auction. But this is a super rare car, and you even are friends with Alois Roof. Have you been to Germany?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's been here to my garage, and I've been to his garage in Germany. Well, his shop in Germany. So
sounds like a good trade.
Yeah, wonderful guy. My son Derek, when he was 12 or 13 years old, met him, and he told Alois, when I get older, I'm going to have one of your cars. So he has a roof converted 911, so not quite as valuable as the roof zero.
Oh, but he does have one though?
But he does, yeah. So.
Nice. So tell me, this car is very famous. You said it's more famous in Europe. So really, tell me about your prototype 1963. Now remember, the 911 didn't really start until 1965. And this is a 1963 901.
Yeah.
And I show you the first Porsche ever in my my Porsche Museum tour, which is in Stuttgart. Of course, check that out. Check out my Porsche factory tour, my Mercedes factory tour, Pagani, Ferrari, and Lamborghini as well. But Lamborghini in 1999, when Valentino Balboni gave me a private tour of the museum. Look for that one on YouTube too. Okay. Oh, and smash that like button and subscribe. But let's continue on.
Sure.
Tell us about this 1963.
Sure. So many things, story,
Porsche.
Background things. First of all, I bought the car, and I sent a letter right away to Porsche stating that I bought this car, and they sent me a letter back immediately saying, we never build a car with a 5-digit serial number. This car is 13327. So I said, wrote right back, yes you did, I own it, here's the stamping it. Nope, we never built one. About 4 months later, I got a letter in the mail, apologies, terribly sorry, we have a man here who worked at Porsche for 35 years, he remembers the car, yes we did build it, yes that is our sunroof, we'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but finally they admitted that they built it, and it's one of 13. Only 2 exist, mine and Alois's. His is 13326. It's called Quick Blau because it's a very beautiful light blue. And this car is called Barbarossa, the redhead Barbarossa. So they both have nicknames. So in the shop, when they would say, go put the gearbox, they didn't say the red car, they'd say Barbarossa. Or go over to Quick Blau and, put plugs in it, whatever. But they referred to them by the nicknames.
That's so cool. I see you've got a lot of ribbons for this one. Wow, wow, wow. What's the most prestigious award you've won with this?
Without a doubt. It won Most Historic Vehicle at Pebble Beach in 2013.
Wow.
So, yeah, and somebody said to me...
Where's that trophy?
Yeah, it's in the house. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And somebody said to me, what part of Most Historic don't you get? That's not Most Historic Porsche. That's Bugatti, that's whomever. It is Most Historic Vehicle at Pebble Beach. So that was really cool. It won its class, of course, and that was quite a thrill.
Wow, and the houndstooth interior is gorgeous. I mean, and you said it's a factory sunroof, which we know for cars, early and things like that. That's rare.
It is very.
But to be a 1953 prototype, and I'm looking at it, yeah, the gauges were a little different. Wow, it's just got two big gauges, doesn't it?
That's the next thing to talk about. Aloysius' car has the typical 5 gauges that you know as a 911. These are called the Goertz gauges, Goertz.
So why was his car one car earlier, and yet it has more traditional gauges, and yours does not? The Goertz gauges.
Very, very, very good reason why. Okay, there were 3 companies that built the prototypes. This car was built by Porsche. Aloysius' car was built by Reuters. And also Carmen built some of them. So kind of who did what? So Aloysius was built by Reuter, and they went for the 5 gauges. Wow. This is the Goertz gauges. The dashboard is completely different. You look at the right side of that dash in the glove box, it doesn't look like any other Porsche that you've ever seen before.
Wow.
Now for the good one. So I go back to Porsche, 9 years later, and they said, what do you want to talk about? I said, well, let me talk to your guys in the design department. So I went to Bootsy's shop down in Selmsey, and I called, got an appointment.
That's Bootsy Porsche for people
yes,
watching.
Yes.
They're not going to know that.
Imagine this. Now, imagine thinking today you could call the president of the owner of Porsche and say, I'd like to speak to Dr. Porsche. And they said, what's in reference to? I said, I sent him some pictures. I own a car which I believe is to be a 901 prototype. And they said, do you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't. She said, hold on just a minute. So she talks to Bootsy, and she comes back and says, how about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? So the next morning, I arrive at the doorstep at Selmsey, and she answers the door and says, I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Maluzio, but Dr. Porsche is not here this morning. And I said, oh my God, I came 3,000 miles to see him. She said, we thoroughly understand and apologize. His mother died last night. Cool. So he's on his way to Stuttgart to be with the family. So she said he left an English-speaking engineer and a German who worked at Works 1 in 63 to talk to you. So the whole time I'm talking to the Brit, the German keeps shaking his head and shaking his head. So literally, you know me, how bashful I am. I said, what the hell's wrong with him? So he says, he doesn't believe you. So I walked over to the German and I said, what is it you don't believe? And he says, I don't believe the sunroof. It's how you say California bull. And I said, oh, now you're getting my Italian temper up and annoyed, you know. What is it you don't believe? We never built a car with a sunroof like that. So I'm really getting annoyed, and I said, look, first of all, it's got the drains underneath the headliner which come out in the trunk. If somebody's going to install a sunroof, who's going to take the headliner down, put the original headliner back in again, put the drains in? No, I don't buy it. You build it. So the British engineer says, didn't Hansi over in the body shop work at Works 1 in 63? And he said, yeah. He says, go call Hansi. So I'm like 15 feet away from the guy, and he's over there talking on the phone. He said, yeah. Oh, okay. And he hangs up. He goes, we build it. So I said, I've been telling you that for 20 minutes, and you're finally believing me. It is, first of all, it's manual sunroof, not electric.
Right.
And it cranks forward. And I asked why, and that's to give more headroom. And by the way, the crank knob, the only thing we can identify it with is a VW bus.
Okay. Wow,
who knows? Cool. But see, it cranks like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Open it up again. That is so cool. Yeah. Look at that, kids. Confirmed by Porsche. That is awesome. Wow.
Here you go.
Wow,
while you're right here.
Stuff on the wall.
So it has a side ventilation system. They're made out of balsa wood. Now you think about it, and you say, go get a door panel in the body shop, in the parts department. Well, there's no parts department. This is, one of the first cars. You have to make a door panel. You have to make the door handle. Everything you're going to make, you have to make it. So they put these little vents right here, and it goes to right here, which blows out here, and it's just the ventilation for the side windows.
Wow, to keep them clear.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So Peter
Porsche like that. I mean,
Porsche came up to me. He saw this, and he walked up, and he says, was ist das? And I said, it's for ventilation, He said, but it could not work. Why did we do that? And I said, I don't know, but you never did it in another car, so obviously it didn't work. So it's kind of cool. You see little things like, here's a spacer that there was a gap between the door and the body. So they made this little spacer up to put on here. So it's very prototypical. There's probably a 3, 4, maybe even 5 little, about this round caps throughout the body where they tried to send ventilation to the compartment. And when they found something that didn't work, they just cut out another piece of tin, drill 3 holes in it, and screw it down on top of where all these holes are. So, you know, it's kind of weird stuff. Let me keep on a roll here and show you something in the engine compartment. First of all, if you watch, you know, it's a pain in the neck with most cars. When you open the deck lid, somebody has to go in the back, you undo the hat latch, and then somebody pulls up. Well, no, this is spring loaded. So watch the deck lid.
Wink.
Yeah. And what's even cooler is it's adjustable spring loaded. So you see it's spring, but there's the adjustments. So you can put tension on how fast you want it to pop up. These back panels like this, on production 911s, they have indentations for the valve lash, the timing, the spark plugs, all that kind of stuff.
Who owned this car? Do you know the history?
Oh yeah, well the first owner was the gentleman who wrote the Christophorus magazine.
Okay.
And boy, you know, very few people. At some point, it went into Italy.
Oh, there's Yellowbird.
Yeah, that's Eloise signed that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So somehow this car, we say, was smuggled into Italy.
His kid runs the company now, right? I mean, he does, but
his daughter does most of it, but Eloise is very, very active in the company. Oh yeah.
This is so cool. I mean, you got such cool stuff. So wow. And then, okay, so maybe our logical next move is it, I mean, this one you might see it from a distance and say, oh, that kind of looks like a Porsche. You know, the Fiat Abarth. But tell me, should we go here next?
Sure, yeah, and that car's been a race car since new.